Default? No. No. Yes. You guys should be able to hear me now. Anyway, hey everybody. It's a cold morning. It's one reason I'm not outside in it. First real freeze we've gotten. And but I would have weathered that. But on top of that, this week's well, this last week and 2 weeks has been kind of crazy. And it culminated into a not fun time this morning. Um, because my wife went out into the cold to take and feed the chickens as we always do as soon as we could probably see our feet in the daylight. Um, and I came upstairs to set all this up because my back's bothering me from too much standing the last couple of days, and not walking but standing. And she rang me to come downstairs and bring a trash bag. Unfortunately, um, something got into our specialty bantam um, area, which we thought was secured. We think it's a raccoon, but we're going to have to go and look at the camera footage to see what we see, if we can see over in there. And it was not a fun time. They got about half of our specialty bantam flock, including some young Sarama, including a smooth coat Sarama, which is, since we started with two frizzled Saramas in our flock, to have smooth coat is a real blessing because um, every one of their eggs that gets laid will be potentially fertile and hatch healthy, whereas frizzled Saramas don't do that. So we lost her. We lost some um, young ones that we had just put out in there, including a frizzled black Sarama because she was a cross between uh, one of our Saramas and a black Japanese miniature bantam. Hey, Daniel, I bet it's brisk up in there. We've got our first real freeze last night. I can't even water the animals right now because the hoses nozzle is no, not going to function. Um, it's frozen up, so that's that's what's going on with that. But yeah, so not a great morning, um, and just been a crazy couple of weeks. Excuse me, was going through interview process with a company that I was really excited about potentially joining. I really enjoyed their interview process, and uh, I thought I knocked it out of the park with the take-home assignment um, that they had given me to prove my capabilities, especially considering I was working with a technology I hadn't worked with previously, and I felt I did a competent job of showing that in just a day I can learn at least the basics, and that I had the tenacity to keep on working with it. Um, but you know, other things may show up on the horizon. It's a tough time right now in the tech industry, with too many companies having cut their HR staff way too much and thinking that AI can, do half their job or more, and that's just not so. You know, AIs don't talk to the human to find out if maybe their resume only showed part of what are capable of. Um, things like that. So, um, and then, after that, a friend of mine, we were over at my friend's coffee house, and she was telling us that they were going to have um, a vendor event for Black Friday and local Saturday. And I was sitting there playing with a fidget ring. I'll show you what I had been doing. I was sitting there with a fidget ring that I had 3D printed, and she thought it was interesting. Her daughter thought it was awesome. Um, Both of us deal with ADHD, and uh, these over here, switch cameras. And so she said I should set up a table with my 3D prints. Well, I didn't really have any 3D prints yet. Um, I had a few things that I had just from prior playing around. Go to this one. Sorry for the dirty table, but if we want to be able to see without that black mat on here, this is what you get right now. Um, and so I was sitting here with the fidget ring, just spinning the fidget ring, and her daughter loved it. And I love them because, A, they're a fidget ring, and B, let me see if I can get it to focus on it better. There you go. They're planetary gears. And so it, it satisfies a few different things for me. Um, and so I just quickly started printing a whole bunch of these, um, just because it was what I had available in mind at that point, and I needed different colors, right? You can't just go and have one color of a cool thing. So I printed up a whole bunch of these, way more than I needed, and I was just going to sell them for $1 a piece. And so I started printing out a whole bunch of those. And then my wife was like, "You need some cute stuff on your table." So I printed these at her recommendation. Let's see if I can get this to zoom where I want it. There we go. And they're adorable, right? Little unicorns. And I just got real lucky with the filament I was using, that I was able to get them sitting on the grass and all the way up to having pink faces and purple hair. So I printed a bunch of those, and uh, I had one of these, had this just sitting around, and people love playing with it, um, which is more planetary gears, but a more complicated set of planetary gears. So, and so I basically set up a booth the last couple of days. Had this top that I had printed that if I can get going there we go. That works exceptionally well. And then I also brought out some of the littler big guns. Everybody seems to love these slinky dragon things. So I brought those out. And then my nieces and nephews absolutely loved these, which, as you can see, are twisted but go through the ring, twisting the whole time they're going through. Let's just keep some of these out here. You can see the whole collection of what it was I was putting out there. And what the heck is going on? Might be time for a new hub or something. I don't know. And then I was like, I love magnetic fidgets. So I broke out some of these little clicky magnetic fidgets, printed some of those out. And then I started whipping out the big guns. And those are gift boxes that are a minimum amount of puzzle solving, because they don't just open up. But like I said, it's a minimum amount of puzzle solving. You basically just give the decoration on top a little twist, it opens right up. And so people like those. And then they loved these, and I ended up printing up um, and selling these as well. But they're Connect 4, where the piece spins as it goes down. And then raise it up and it separates them. This one doesn't separate, but it clips closed. So some people have preferences to which way they'd want them to work. And so that was the last 2 weeks. All I was doing was 3D printing, and interviewing. So between interviews and 3D prints, that was all my efforts to get ready for this fun little event. We had Mr. and Mrs. Claus there, and lots of vendors, some with some yummy foods, others with just some, nice things to have, good gift giving kind of things. And that's that was all I was doing for the last couple of weeks. Um, my focus primarily was on trying to get that job I didn't get, and then when that finally that outcome became what it was, I made sure to just turn my attention to the next thing that I can do, which is try to make this event successful. And I will say, I made a couple $100 at it. Not a lot, but you know, after after um, everything's said and done, and buying things at the coffee shop and so forth, I'm pretty sure I cleared about $100, which for 2 days of sitting and standing and sitting and standing and sitting and standing isn't a lot. But it did give me some insight as to, you know, what to expect trying to work these types of events, and what to do next. So this is frustrating. Let me try something here. Let's see if I just blew it up, because it was shocking the heck out of me as I did that. So who knows if I just killed the device with some static. Hope not. All right. We'll see. We shall see. All right. Go ahead and get that camera back in order. Okay. Nope. Might be time to buy a new Elgato stick, because it's definitely misbehaving. We'll just deal with what we can deal with. In the meantime, let's just sit back and chat a bit. Hope share tales of hopefully people not getting into political arguments with family over Thanksgiving. Stainless scrolls, nice. What are you making there, Kevin? Because heavens knows you don't just do scrolls. You take your scrolls and turn them into even bigger works of art. Typically, that's what I've seen. So here's where we're at here. I had to clear the table off because became my table for the event. So in clearing the table off, ended up putting the Lego into this container here. The container is about to fall over. There we go. Yeah. Which means nothing is quite as stable as I'd like it to be. Let's see. All right. This is the outside of the theater going over the stage that currently has the penguin on it. Who knew that the penguin liked to perform? I missed that somewhere. We'll put the stage, we'll put the marquee back over the stage. Let's do that right, or I did it offset. I did it right. Yes. Okay. I'll pull back and show what this all is looking like here in a moment. So it feels like there's another something going on here, or I just didn't have the angles right. There we go. Now it's coming together. I'm not supposed to connect them yet because they'll be unwieldy if I did. But there is what we're looking at. When it's all said and done, we're starting to get a hint, a strong hint as to what this will look like. Let's see if I can. Oof, so much static electricity. So, and it's a cool piece. I'm gonna have to figure out how the heck I'm supposed to hang that on a wall somewhere. So now I'm going to put back away the part on on the right side and finish working here on the left side. Getting close to done. All right. Oh yeah, I forgot to do that. Let's fix that. There we go. Let's continue. Do a bat hanger, possibly. Uh, two stainless birds, a stainless garden bench. Okay, I was hoping that's what you're going to say. Is that going to be, is that a commission or is that a gift? Because I can imagine that that is a not an inexpensive bench to be making. I don't know how much, because I didn't buy my stainless, Christina did, but how much stainless costs compared to, mild steel that we would just, you know, um, paint once we're complete. But I would anticipate it would be more expensive than yeah, mild steel. All right. That there. Go on. I think 37. Almost getting very close to done. 37's a little back, so I might as well pull out 38 while I'm at it. Ah, stainless scrap. Nice. That's convenient. You work a real job, so that helps. materials for me is just software. So, and even then, my materials are mostly free materials to begin with. The paid materials they don't let me keep. So, all right, the bought materials, I should say. Ah, maybe this camera is just not being good today. And I don't know if it's the camera or if it's the, I doubt it's the camera. Nope, wrong part of the camera. There it is. Okay. I can imagine trying to do this out in the cold with frozen fingers. All right. Hey, Jurgen, I was just talking about the fact that I'd be out there freezing my fingers off playing with all this tech. This is a good test run for me, at least, to know that my internet is working again. So, about the internet, why I was off the air for the last couple of weeks. Um, I think I mentioned why I was off the air 2 weeks ago. Um, and though I can't, I think it was various technical difficulties unrelated to the internet, but I might be wrong. I can't remember now. And then last week was all about technical difficulties. It was so frustrating um, because we had a bomb cyclone pass through here. Well, brush us basically. The main thrust of the bomb cyclone stayed off the coast. Um, as in, there were parts of Washington west of us that were worse affected than we were. But that being said, this thing was a pretty sizable storm. And if anybody looked at it on a map, you would have thought maybe it was a hurricane. And that's because it has similar characteristics to a hurricane, including the winds. And that's basically what we got to experience was getting a strong brushing of the winds coming through here. Um, Flipped over a couple of our chicken runs and the cover that we have for the chickens, not the actual um, uh, area that they're in, but the covered area for them. So we had to do repairs on that. No big deal for the repairs, um, but it was work. And then uh, up the hills from us, we're down in a valley. Up the hills from us in either direction, you had folks experiencing power outages. Um, for several days to a week. Um, we, on the other hand, didn't suffer a power outage down here in the valley for some reason. We seem to be protected from those power outages. Um, but um, and strangely enough, the day after the storm, we didn't seem to have really anything to related to power outages or cable breakage or anything like that. Um, for the whole next day. We just had to go and fix our chicken runs and recognize that there's going to be a lot of brush to clean up because there were a lot of down branches, which would explain why there were power outages, right? Um, but the day after the next day, the next day, um, we suddenly didn't have internet, and that was not for us. That doesn't mean that we don't have internet to our house alone. That means we don't have internet to our phones because it's all the same thing for us. We're down a road that's part of an ag preservation zone, and uh, the powers that be don't think it's worth spending the money to get us proper cable. So we have DirecTV, and we have to figure out our own way to deal with internet, which we've tried 4G, we've tried the DSL, we've tried Starlink, And what was the most successful was when AT&T got in here with 5G. And so that was working great. But of course, that means both our phones and our internet had no internet. Even and our phones had trouble even making phone calls. So my guess is there was a cascade of power failures and maybe some shifts to the cell towers that made them not perform. And we basically didn't have internet for about 4 or 5 days. I even had to go to my friend's coffee house, the same one where I did my um, sales of, my 3D prints. I had to go there to take an interview just so I could use her internet. Um, and so, hey, Shane, welcome, welcome. As you can see, I'm not in the Smithy. A lot of reasons. I'm hurting because I've spent the last 2 days having to stand next to my craft table where I had all my 3D prints. Why 3D and not blacksmithing? Because some of you might have seen the posts I made on Facebook. And it's simple. I get the 2 hours I spend with you guys per week to get out to my Smithy. Um, I probably could prioritize more time out there. But I've got a lot of responsibilities to deal with, and that's the time I try to force myself into having. Um, and I don't get a lot accomplished in those 2 hours. You've watched what I make. Um, so what you see me make is all that I've ever made. Um, and you know that's where I'm at. Um, Whereas with 3D printing, there is a bit of upfront effort to either create the models, um, and then of course to do some printing, some testing, some rework on the models, um, or rework on the slicer, print again, and when you get to something that you like, then you print a bunch of them, and then you just walk away. And then afterwards you have some post-processing work to do, and that's fine too. But the point is, in the same amount of time, say the couple of hours that I'd put into blacksmithing, and produce one thing, maybe two things um, per week, I can print, uh, you know, 10, 20 things, um, you know, where most of that time spent doing the printing itself, the 8, 12, 12, 16 hours is just me walking away and glancing at it from time to time to make sure it hasn't failed along the way. You need Ohio stuff now, Daniel? The stuff you brought with you isn't good enough? Take care, Daniel. Have a great week. Hope moving in gets is nice and smooth for you. So it's yeah. And then this morning was a rough morning. For those who weren't on here earlier, we've been working hard to better secure our chickens because we've had some raccoon, or raccoons plural, getting in here and you could say weeding out our flock, or taking its pick of our flock. I don't know what the right way to say that is. Um, Whatever it is, we're not happy about it, and I need to, um, well, let's just say, end its time on my property. But figuring out how to do that when I'm lucky to be able to stay awake past 9:30 at 10 o'clock at night, um, that's the challenge. And some would say, take a nap, stay up, handle it in the evening. And I'm like, okay, except you haven't met me. Um, Napping is not a skill I have. As a matter of fact, every time I nap, I just am going to sleep as if for the night. And when I wake up before that night has passed, I wake up grumpy and not pleasant to be around and not much use either. So napping just doesn't work for me. It takes a force of will to even make me do it. And then on top of that, yeah, it's not a pleasant outcome. So it may still be what I need to do. It's just not as, it's much easier to say it than to do it. In any event, that its time here on our property needs to end, as it went in and it killed about half of my specialty bantam flock and broke our hearts this morning as we went in there and found that some of our newest additions um, had been part of the um, decimated group. It wasn't decimated. It wasn't the 10th. It was worse. Well, I can't remember if decimation is it takes out a tenth or it leaves a tenth. Either way, it's not. It was. That's not the right term. But yeah, not a fun morning. Um, and between that and the cold and the technical problems I've been having the last few weeks, I figured I need to not focus on blacksmithing and instead focus on seeing about if my tech is going to be up to snuff and just have a nice, pleasant uh, time just chatting with you guys. Dakota. Yep, yep. I remember. Welcome back. For those who aren't staring at the stream, and maybe Dakota has just gotten put into timeout. Won't be sure until such moment as he tells us, or as they tell us. I don't know. But they're on here, and the players loved the ideas for the bone dagger, human bone hand dagger that they came on here and asked us ideas about. And I'm loving it. I'm glad we were able to you know bring some joy to your players' lives. It's always fun to have that happen. Cool. I'm glad you didn't get put in timeout. Your message was then at the probably at the limits of what you're allowed to post in a single message. In any event, it's up there on the stream itself if people want to glance up and read what Dakota wrote. I'm glad that your players enjoyed that. That's awesome. And did they survive the encounter? Nice. So yeah, you're catching me not blacksmithing today, Dakota. It's cold out there. I've had a tough week, both mentally and physically, and just figured I would come in here and uh, enjoy a nice chat stream. Not blacksmithing, but building the last of this Batman mural set. It's been a fun set to build because of all the neat things that are hidden in it that I've already probably forgotten. Excuse me, forgotten half of, and I'll just go around prying pieces off to discover that I shouldn't have pried that one off because it doesn't have the thing underneath it. And now it's hard to put back on. But that's half the fun of these types of sets because the hidden parts are might be hidden for good once you've finished building, but most of the time they're not in this case. Like there's a movie facade, a movie theater facade, or not a movie theater, A theater facade. There you go. A theater facade that when you pull it off, you see the penguin up on stage. Yes, Legos are calming. Don't tell Lego that we called them Legos. I don't want to be put in Lego jail. Although I think I could break out pretty easily. All right, that is part of that. Let's see if you guys can see it from there. Oop, don't mess the Joker's sign. He'll get mad at me. So I've got this part of a skyscraper going up, and this is the continuation of said size skyscraper, it looks like. Was there anything hidden under there? No, there was not. So there's that. We still have more to build on that bit, so let's next page it. By the way, each one of these bags I think is amazing. I was one of the sessions I was sitting here building of my own just because I needed time out. Um, I was actually watching Batman the original series, the cartoon series, um, and because each bag has a named episode that correlates with it. I'm guessing that that something that we're building, shows up in that episode, and that's what they drew inspiration from. Um, so, and when I say guessing, I mean I read the book that came with it, just because it's always fun to see what the um, engineers were thinking while they were building this thing. Um, Yeah, I just can't remember if they mentioned explicitly that that's what the call out to episodes was about. I know they took inspiration from the show, just don't know if the call out's about that. What is the acetone for? I don't typically mess up my stickers, so I don't have to worry about that most of the time. It led my players to find a village of cannibal peeps that use every part of the body they eat. That is something that is common in Native American facts too. I just recently learned because of Thanksgiving. When talking about the animals they ate, namely in this case, the turkey, and that there's a strong history of tattooing with some of the tribes, and that some of the earliest tattooing implements were sharpened turkey bones. So, using every piece, there you go. Oop, yep, that's right. Okay. There, there. Couple more of these here. We're going to be sticking more decorative elements on that soon. And then more half round, quarter rounds into a half round. Oh, yeah, I think I would just do it Batman style though. Lego Batman is hilarious. I would just, spin and bust free. I am the knight. Uh, Cheers to my first cup of coffee, still working on it. Hey, there you go. It's always good to wrap in known histories to your campaigns. It gives them a stronger feel for authenticity when you do that. And then you can also have the fun conversations with your players as to the source material. Let's see here. There. It's funny. I was saying that much of the last 2 weeks, my efforts were either about the interviews I was taking, which sadly I didn't get that job, um, or 3D printing for the event I was doing at my friend's coffee house this past weekend. Well, Friday and Saturday. And so when it comes to understanding acetone and ASA, I should know that, but I don't actually print with an ASA, if you didn't know, is what Lego is. Yeah, I believe that's right, is what Lego is made with. And that acetone is used if you want to do smoothing of that material. So there you go. Things I should have known, but I wasn't thinking that way. Hey, Eric, thanks for stopping in to say hello. Everybody always appreciates that. Have a good weekend yourself. Flip it around, do it again. Oh, oh. I left off a step. Yep, almost left off a step. There we go. Then we put these on. Getting these little one pieces oriented right when you snap them on. It's the only part of Lego that can be annoying. That and this, well, it's not the only part. Stickers. Stickers are annoying. Matter of fact, I probably need to go figure out where I put that so I can be ready to put a sticker on. I have my tray of extra pieces because with these onesie pieces, they always give you extras just in case you lose it. Bigger pieces, they don't give you extra for, but these they do. No, I didn't know that. I knew that they were highly precise. These are, very much precision instruments that we just think of as toys. Because of course that's how they're done, but are used, but they're extremely precise. And yeah, I knew that that makes sense because of the way that the molds work. If you've got one piece that's off, it's likely that it's a problem with the mold or the injection process, and so everything coming out of that batch would be a problem. That makes a lot of sense. So makes sense, just not a surprise. Okay, we're finally covering up something that becomes hidden. So why don't I go ahead and share that view, this here. Of course, our camera's going to wig out for a minute while I do this. So in there, zoom. Yeah, there's just too much static electricity. I keep shocking things, and I think that may have something to do with why we're having technical issues in here. There it is. All right. What we can see there is we got Harley Quinn and um, Poison Ivy in there, and there's some gems and some plants, and now we're going to cover it up. Now it gets hidden behind a wall, just like that. So now I just have to remember that's where they are when I want to go show somebody the nifty hidden play thing that's in there. This here so it can focus. A lot of muscle cars running up and down the road today. I'm wondering if they're having a show down the road. We live on I've mentioned this before, we live on an ag preservation zone, but we're not like in, rural setting. Just we happen to be able to live like we're in a rural setting, but I'm a mile away from all the urban sprawl, including the fact that um, one road over is some manufacturing, including metals manufacturing, custom metals. Uh, and then down at the end of the road is a scrapyard. And that scrapyard has decided to go ahead and have a field that's over there. And instead of having it being, ag, they've turned it into a venue space for, hosting, you know, car shows. Nobody ever said I was well grounded, Kevin. Uh, I am so happy that you took the time to stop in, Dakota. Uh, you need get some sleep. I understand the whole third shift thing. I did that in the past, distant past, but I did that in the past. So you got to get your beauty sleep. Uh, so you're ready for that. But I'm happy you came in here too. All right, time for the next bag. Yes, it is. These now need to go into my tray of holding and sticker collection, which I will need soon, I'm sure. There's always, anytime there's something to be hidden behind a plate, it first has to be put on with a sticker. All right. Are people able to see the Lego better? Um, Lego pieces better because I'm doing it on the white instead of the black, sort of white gray, kind of dirty gray. Um, than if because it was on the black mat I had. I don't seem to be struggling with pieces flying off my table. So frankly, I don't think I need the rubberized mat as long as everybody can see what I'm doing. Before, I know we struggled with being able to see the pieces, and the glare from that black mat was something fierce for me, at least. May have been for you guys too. Get off my finger. Turn over. There you go. There's that. Let's see. Throw these there. Now this bag is full of unique, many, very few of the same piece. Most of the pieces are distinct. I got here more of the tiny pieces to work with. These will go together. Shane, I am working on the last this Batman mural from that's based on the 1990s, I think it was, cartoon. So I've been working on this for, I don't know, off and on again for about a month. It's got a lot of little tiny pieces just to hide things behind things, and put together things in a sideways fashion so that you see smooth facades. It's a pretty neat building style. All right. And basically, just so I can get off my feet today, I've been on my feet for the last couple of days, making my back decide it was going to spasm up a bit. So get off my feet, give it a rest. Last couple of days were a fun time selling my 3D wares, my 3D printed wares. Um, Learning a lot about that process. I've always been a patron, never a vendor at many events that I've been at. I used to, um, eh, I take that back. I have been a vendor in one realm, but even in that realm, it wasn't really up to me how that ran. I was a blacksmith, for demo, yeah, at Highland Games in my area. And I would just show up to be one of the blacksmiths. It was up to my friends who were the blacksmiths I learned from to be the vendor, to understand what the nature of vending is like, and to um, make the arrangements and etc. I just showed up. I had the easy job. I showed up. I had fun, and then I went home. A couple miles away. So this time I got to be the vendor, learn what is involved in vending, try to figure out pricing that I felt was ethical, um, but still could help me, you know, cover my costs and maybe give me a little bit extra, um, so that over time I can build a custom 3D design and printing business. Um, you know, Use this as a mechanism for exposure. I know that there's always lots of jokes um, for artists about exposure, but they're artists. The joke there, if you're not familiar, is a, a really bad one that says, "Oh no, you just need to put your art out there for free so that you can get exposure." And I think we in blacksmithing sometimes fall into that trap, when what we should be doing is maybe putting it out there cheap, like I said, just enough to cover our costs, so that people recognize that we do this thing and maybe actually want to see more of what we do and are willing to pay for that more. And so that's what I did this time. Is I went in there, I tried to sell things that weren't very expensive, see, what the demand really was, and no surprise, even though disappointing to me because I don't understand it too much. Seems to me like it's old school, old hat, I should say. The fact is, people wanted the 3D printed dragons. I see them as a dime a dozen. Everybody seems to come out with yet another 3D printed dragon. I mean, how many of those do you need? But apparently, there's a demand out there for it, and not everybody has them. So that's what I need to print more of. Instead, what I went there with, I mean, I had some 3D printed dragons, and they sold well. Um, I had some um, 3D printed, and they're slinky dragons. They can be posed. I had some 3D printed unicorns, but they weren't posable. I sold couple of those, but not as many. I had a bunch of 3D printed fidgets. Those sold fairly well. Um, and so, you know, I know now next time I definitely need to come there. I don't need to make any more of the fidgets. I still have plenty of those. Um, I do need to make some of the bigger fidgets. It seems the bigger fidgets had more demand. Um, and I need to print more dragons. Maybe posable dragons, maybe just more slinky dragons. Try to find things I haven't seen on other people's tables, so that you know um, that I have that to work with. But that was the last couple of days. But it involves, this standing next to this table at a height that everybody else is wanting to stand at, so that when people ask questions, I can answer their questions and see what they're asking questions about. So every time somebody would walk in, since I was at the front of the cafe, I'd be able to jump up and help them in through the door and greet them, and it was a great place for me to be. Um, but I'm sore today for having done all that jumping up and so forth. Let's see, what am I doing wrong here? This isn't making, oh, that's why, because you need to read the instructions, Jack, instead of just looking at the pictures. Except the instructions are also pictures. Did I take my meds this morning? I did not. Let me take my meds. That might help. Okay. Sorry for the blinking, folks. Hopefully. Yeah, I'm hoping to go out after this and find that my water hoses are less frozen. The nozzles anyway, so I can uh, get out there and water some birds, and then maybe I might hit something too. Have fun there, Kevin. I have a something to ask. I'm off his meds. I had to fix that. Um, what would you guys think if I just did unscheduled lives every now and then? That way, if I get out into the shop and I feel like setting up the equipment, I can do a live then. And then, of course, obviously, if you're not available to show up, that's no big deal. Um, and then the other way around is just get out in the shop and I set up and record instead, and don't worry about the theming. And then I can make some more static content, or I can do a third thing, and this is something that I just paid for the option to do with Restream, and that is I get out there, I set up, I theme, and I record as if I were doing a live stream, but don't actually stream, and just save that as our segments that I can um, upload, and then I could sit here and build Lego in warmth. Get out there and do that during the warmer part of the day, um, and then come in here on a Sunday morning and build Lego and chat with you guys while playing the recording as my live stream. That's something Restream allows me to do now. I haven't decided if I want to do that or not. It's just an interesting concept. Okay, you just had me set that aside. All right, set that aside. Here comes one of those stickers. Yeah, where did I put that? There it is. Oh, but the tweezers are up by the 3D printer. That's right. I need to 3D print something. You guys want to watch me 3D print something? We won't watch the printing action happen, but you can watch the process of what it is to start a 3D print. My wife said she needed some of those gift boxes that I have there. So I need to print one more of the big gift boxes. And later, later, there you go. Turn that on. Yep. And then over here, I need the tweezers because I said I needed tweezers. we're going to take a side mission. Let's take this side mission real quick. We'll turn that off. We'll turn that on. And then this will become which one of these? None of those. Mhm. Okay, cancel that. We'll go here. Give me a minute. Get the right thing pulled up here so you guys can see it. All right. Then let's try again. Bamboo Studio. There we go. This is what I'm going to 3D print. Let me know if you guys can see it. There we go. Just go ahead and throw her down here in the content window. And it's good enough. We'll overflow it. All right, so that's what I'm going to 3D print, but I'm not printing all of that. You can't. That's not how it works. The way it actually works is these are all the various model orientations and so forth that I might want to print. And instead of, you can only print one of these plates, as they call them, at a time. So what I'm going to print is going to be this box back here. So let's go ahead and get to where we can really pay attention to that one. Oop. Helps if you don't, spin it all around like mad. We'll zoom in just so I can get a better ability to work with it and you guys get a better chance to see it. So this is a gift box. These are the gears on the inside for the latch that ends up going into the side of the box here. I'll turn it a little bit. Oop, don't do that. I'll turn it a little bit just so you can see where the latch ends up clipping into. One latch goes into one side, the other latch goes into the other side. If you turn it around, it's the vice versa. No big deal. So we're going to sit here. We're going to tell it to arrange everything. I don't like that arrangement. We're going to tell it again. It'll put it back to where it was, and it's just nice and neat. What that arranging does is that the software says this is about as close as I can put everything and make sure nothing sticks together that shouldn't stick together. And that way it doesn't have to do so much travel, and therefore can get the print job done faster. Sometimes orienting it one direction does result in a faster print. I found that this is the orientation that is just a little bit faster than the other orientation. So now we're just going to go ahead and say select all. This is not the color I'm going to do it. Instead, the color I'm going to do this one will be, I think I'll set it to, let's see, the big box I have in there right now is silver. And I think I'll make it green with a red bow. And then we'll go over here and we'll say slice it, which basically takes a 3D object and says, how do I get that 3D object printed layer by layer by layer? And you can see that by me just peeling back each layer. And that's how it's printed. And you can even go so far as to see what order it'll all get printed. So there's how the first layer gets laid out, and then it can go all the way up. You can see it's not a perfectly solid object. It's kind of wasteful to make it a perfectly solid object. And we just go up a bit at a time. And I think I've got it set to be, let's go take a look. Uh, Global. Yeah, I've got it set at this extra draft mode, which makes it print faster, but makes it so it doesn't have as clean a details. So just to make sure I didn't miss a step here, because the only details involved that make any difference whatsoever are these gears. The rest of it is a smooth surface. There is no detail to need to be worried about. So we're going to take a quick look. We're going to go check. I'm told it to, yep. I turned on something called adaptive, which basically says at this part, at these curved parts here, instead of going at 0.28, make it adapt to the level of detail is most suited for dealing with those curves. So that was nice. Um, and I already know that works. So that means now I should be able to go to the preview again. And it's going to take 6.5 hours for this large box to print. And I don't know if I'm charging too little or too much. Nobody seemed to give me any grief for it, but I was charging $15 for this large box. And I'll show you we're not doing that. Oh, in that case, cancel this. That means that I forgot to have the printer update itself with what filaments are on there. Let's go to the device first off. Nope, it's online. And it's showing the colors. Okay, that's good because I prefer to use this nifty blackish color anyway. Purplish, blackish. So let's go back here. We're going to go ahead and say first, select all. And then we're going to go back here and we're going to say sync. Now we get the colors I actually wanted. Hey, look, it automatically did it for me. So now I can slice it again. And now it's going to take 5 hours and 13 minutes. Wonder why. Wonder why. It must have something to do with the type of filament I'm using, that it actually can be printed faster. That's nice to know. It's always nice to be able to print things, take less time to print something. So we go ahead and say print. We go ahead and send it. And then we're going to go ahead and turn on the camera here and see how bad this camera is at this point. It's currently busy. I can't turn on the camera quite yet. All right, so in the meantime, let's go back over here. Let's zoom back out again. And let's look at that which we will actually print next. Which are the guts of this thing. And you can see when I say guts, it's everything that isn't the box. So what that means is these are the ribbons that go on the side of the box. So you get the, I'll show you what I'm doing there. And then the lid gets these ribbons. Along the long side, it's these two, and the short side gets these two. Then I've got this disabled at the moment. We're going to go ahead and turn it back on again. And the reason I disabled it is I used a snowflake for the bow instead of this kind of bow. And so I'm going to go ahead and print it this time with this kind of bow. And what else do I need to do? Oh, yes. But I don't want that color. So we're going to select all. And we're going to say that for this one, I want the red. There we go. And now that's cute and ready. I'm going to go ahead and slice it, see how long that'll take. That's an hour and 41 minutes. So grand total, we're talking 6, 7, little over 7 hours to print this box. And that's 7 hours I just walk away. But it is also 7 hours where I can't print anything else. So that needs to play into my costs because it's opportunity cost. And opportunity cost should have a monetary value, right? Because that means I can't be printing other things while I'm at it. Um, so the only way to then print other things is either be able to put more items on the plate, and that just makes it take longer to print, or have more printers, which has a cost all associated of its own. So that's what I'm trying to learn in this process is you know what are my costs? How do I account for those costs so that I can best charge an equitable price that's equitable both to me and to my audience, my customer. So that's the part that I'm still learning. But yeah, that is the process of the printing itself. The modeling, on the other hand, I'm not sure if I've ever showed you that. Let's see. We'll go ahead and stop sharing that. Remember how? We go here. We go here. All right. Um, the modeling is a little different story. Let's see if I can get that set up. We do this. Let me go here and see if I'm actually live. I am not. For some reason, but all of a sudden, all this time I've been able to do live streams on Facebook. Today, I'm not able to do live streams on Facebook, and I don't know why. It tells me I need more engagement on Facebook first, and it's frustrating me. I don't know what's going on. So, the whole reason I set up the Facebook page was so family come on and watch me do live streams and chat with me, and I can't even do that. So I'm kind of pissed about it. Um, but back to what I was doing, which was getting ready to show you something else fun and cool. And I'll show you a model I've created previously. Go ahead and put this back where I got it from. Nope, put it in the wrong place. That's why. There we go. Put that one back where I got it from. And then over here, we're going to go to need to sign into it first. So I'll share my screen once I'm done with that. All right. I'll do window capture. We'll do. There we go. Hit OK. And then turn that on. There you go. Here's an example of something I've created. Well, first off, I've created all these things that you're seeing here. With the exception, I think, of the Stirling engine. The chisel holder was a work in progress. I didn't get that finished, but here I modeled up a feed scoop, and I can show you what the feed scoop looks like. That is, where did I put the done feed scoop? Do, 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 do. There it is. I had gotten these. Let's see if you're capable of seeing this. I'd gotten these in with some feed bins, you know, screw top waterproof feed bins that I keep the bird feed in. And uh, I wanted more of them, because they could be useful in other bins too. So instead of going out and buying them, since I have this 3D printer, I went out here and modeled it. So, but in my modeling, I didn't bother to put in, there's certain things I didn't bother to do that is needed when you're doing injection molding, but isn't needed when you're doing uh, 3D printing, and actually isn't useful in 3D printing. Things like this step here, that's not really useful in 3D printing, so I didn't put it in there. And there's a second step up here. And I think that that's mainly because the more material that has to be on the side of the thing that you're injection molding into, the more likely it can get stuck and has a problem coming off. I didn't have that need. Now, one of the things I didn't see before and that I could do, but again, I'm using it literally as a scoop, not as a measuring cup. This one has a marking on it for half cup versus a cup. Um, not something I needed to do. So I basically did the modeling um, for this thing, and it's not even complete yet. There's one more step I need to add in here, and that's for this handle to have a strut. Um, and then I have to figure out how can I do this and then give this a critical look, because um, this is definitely 3D printable. But to 3D print this, I would end up having to have supports underneath the handle for this to work. Or I could flip it upside down and I'd have to have supports for the bottom of the cup. And so, how can I redesign this so that it would actually accomplish my goals? Oh, yeah, they must have had a car show. There's some gorgeous vehicles going down my road now. How can I redesign this cup so that it is a better 3D printable object? Now, something I did 3D print is this. And it's actually two components. It's this ball and socket. I mean, yeah, I'll explain that in a minute. And then it's the actual joint that the ball goes into. The socket for the ball. And I designed this, and I printed them. I printed, um, you know, uh, prototypes, and then had to go back to my model and modify it, and then printed more prototypes. And I think I ended up with um, three prototypes before I settled on this finished product. And what is this for? This is a self-adjusting foot for a deer stand seed spreader. For hunters out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not a hunter, I'll explain. It's basically a bin that you put seed into. Typically for deer, it's cracked corn, and then with a little, um, uh, 12-volt battery. There's a little computer underneath it that is wired up to this thing and wired up to a little motor that spins a plate that the seed falls down into, and it distributes the seed around the seed spreader. And it sits up on 5 foot tall legs in a tripod, but those legs are uh, just tubular steel, um, you know, not even heavy gauge tubular steel. And I'm using it not for hunting, but for um, feeding my chickens. I can have it spread seed, you know, uh, uh, 10 seconds every, few hours during the daytime. And that works great for us. But, I live in the Pacific Northwest where the rain makes things muddy for, 6 months out of the year. And so having this sitting out there sinking down into the mud didn't seem like a really wise idea. And it didn't come with feet. It didn't even come with little plastic stoppers for feet. And so I decided I needed to come up with a good solution. I could have just done this part here, that's the peg that goes into the tubular steel, and the ball and left it at that. Would have worked probably just fine. But the pressure of a ball probably would have also sunk into the mud over time. So instead, I decided I needed to create a proper foot, but I needed it to be a self-leveling foot. Um, and so that's the reason why this design came to be. And, that's the benefits of 3D printers. This is not a product available that I could find on the internet, but I could design it, I could build it, I could share it with the world, I can 3D print it for those who want it and put it up on an Etsy store or something. So that's that's the kind of design work I do. And you know that I enjoy doing that work. The I'll have to give some thought to the designs of doing the fidgets, because I think that would be a fun project for me to do. And then, of course, if I get good at it, I can do, you know, I can put them up for people to use, and I can then sell them as well. Um, but more of it is just because it would be my design, something I own, something that nobody can claim that I, you know, took from them. Um, so, all right, let's go ahead and there it is. Laugh. Get back to this part of this build. And all right, I have this. I have this. I don't comprehend. Oh, I see. Didn't know that. Stick that there. Come back here. Grab a couple of standoffs. And now for the sticker. Putting stickers on is never fun, but I have gotten better at it. There we go. And that sits underneath the curved part. Hey, beautiful. No? Why'd you think I was done? That side is done. This side is not done. That's the side I'm working on. Say hello, everybody. Uh, Starting up your box. Yep, starting up the box. I'm gonna go ahead and get a, I've got to find a trickier box for, yes, but I think they'll prefer a trickier box. And this particular creator that I'm using, which I'll give a shout out, 3dprinty.xyz, is one of the coolest 3D printing creators in the world, because he shares all of his prints and doesn't limit the ability for us to print them and sell them if we want to sell them. Um, he's just loves the engagement in the community, and makes some of the cutest stuff you could ever print. And thinks and teaches us along the way I was just sharing, how you have to think about when you're designing your prints, so that you don't um, create a type, a structure that is just going to fail on you. So um, shout outs to 3dprinty.xyz. They're the ones I got the box from. Um, and I'm going to go and get another box, because uh, they've got really neat ideas for boxes. Let me look. Part of me wants to say, yes, but because if I have it, I haven't used it in a very long time, or I gave it away, there's a chance I do not. Um, yes. Ow. Gotcha. Okay. Jared just come in? Sure does. All right. Sounds like fun. Do not ask me to come this time. I hurt too much. Okay. Feeding dad lunch. Okay. Yeah. That's not an issue. I can just ask him if he wants pizza or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I know. Oh, that's good for him. Interesting. Cool. I don't know what you mean by cut up in 6 thin pieces. Oh, okay. Got it. I didn't know that. Yeah. Yeah, Daniel says hello. I don't know if he can hear you or not. Um, but my wife did say hello back, Daniel. And move this that way. Put this way. Okay. You tell Jared the bad news. That's a big deal. Big surprise. Oh, this is a neat one. All right, time to change views again so I can point out how it's about to become really cool again, hiding something. I'll pull this closer, and I will tilt the camera at a precipitous angle. Look at that. Really. All right. So where this is going, I even have to tilt it up just so you can see it. Right above the laugh off, we've got, I think, Ketchup and Mustard Man. And then, of course, oh, come on, what's his name? The Clockmaster? I might have his name wrong. It's been a long time since I've seen these characters. They're very unusual characters, but they are about to get hidden behind view as soon as I can remember how. There we go. How cool is that? A laugh palace. Gonna make me want to go watch the old cartoon series. Member berries. All right. Seems like every time I jiggle the, is it the jiggling? Is it the wiggling? No. I honestly don't know what causes it, but I do think it has something to do with static electricity. It's either the jiggling or it's the static electricity. Don't know which. But it doesn't seem to be the jiggling at this point because I just jiggled the heck out of my table. All right. On to box 39, or bag 39, I should say, which means I have three extra pieces. I got to go back and look. I wonder if I missed something. Makes me worried when I have that many extra pieces that are not little onesie pieces. I used one of those. No, only one of those was needed. And then I used one of these. And two more was supposed to go there. Let's go take a look. Did I put it in the right place, the wrong place? I didn't give the standoff that it was wanting me to give. So let's fix that. Always double check whether or not you did the job right. Do-do. There. So I can just double check these things. Okay. Yeah, that's where it needs to go. There's one. Let's see if I can find the piece I just dropped on the floor. There it is. All right. I just done the job right the first time, right? Do the same thing on the other side. Put it where it belongs. All of this works better if you don't have half of it already pre-built. All right. Come on. Get in there. Boy, it's a tight fit, but it's actually what's going to cause it to be at the correct angle when it's all said and done, I think. All right. There it is. There's that. Put it where it belongs. Put that where it belongs. And yep, it's a tight fit. It doesn't wiggle at all once you got those pieces in there. And then we're left with just one half moon that's not accounted for. I have used the one where it belongs. These don't have the standoffs, and there are no other half moon usage. So that is that. You get one extra half moon when you're all said and done. All right, and it goes into the extra bits and bobs tray. Now we can move on to bag numero 39. El 39. Very little Spanish I still remember. Pretty sad considering all the years I tried to study it. I feel so self-conscious about it. I can't even think to talk to my neighbor whose first language is Spanish in Spanish. Probably the same way they felt about English when they first started too. But their English is far better than my Spanish. So almost done with my coffee, which must mean I'm almost done with the live stream. I'm just hanging out here because there are other people still hanging out here. But if you want to wander away, you're welcome to do so. I'll just keep hanging out here until roughly 11 o'clock. Then I got to decide what I'm going to do with myself other than take ibuprofen. Probably should have already taken it, but I'm not wandering away to do that right now. Lots of little bits and bobs this time. So anybody who's watching me, who has also watched me blacksmith, know that I'm not the most meticulous person in the world, unless being meticulous has a uh, saving grace of driving me of making it so I'm not driven insane when I start going to look for things. Like you watch my work, and I try to be a bit meticulous about you know the outcome, but the process isn't all that meticulous. Um, I'll stop and I'll think about things, but I'll also try to be meticulous about keeping track of my tools, mainly because it is so easy for me to lose track of my tools. It's so easy for me to just miss a step like you just saw. Um, at which point, being meticulous is really important, right? Um, it's a hard balance for me because when I get to be um, as meticulous as might be necessary, um, find people have not enjoyed my presence, my company. But if I'm not, then gloss over things. I'll forget things. I'll take an unwarranted shortcut. I haven't figured out how to find the right balance of not becoming a jerk while maintaining the level of meticulousness. Is that a word? That I need to be functional. All right, that's good. I can find all the pieces. They're nice and separated. All right, on to the next. Pop-up page to show complete builds. You know, it's really amazing. You say that. Um, Saying, I'll show you something. I actually have the ability to not use the book. The world has moved, is continued to move on, as they say. Lego Builder. And you open up Lego Builder, and let's go here. I think I've already got one. Yep, there it is. I pulled it up already. You guys able to see what I'm doing here? Um, Says continue building because I started looking at this, and if I use my iPad, it's it for this purpose, it'd be even big for old farts like me who struggle to see this stuff sometimes. At least I have the right light this time so I can see my book's pages properly. Whereas I was working with just the overhead light, and that light fixture's temperature and glare and angle just is the worst. So there it is. It actually becomes a kind of pop-up you can move around and see exactly what you're trying to get an angular view of and from behind. So we're going to have two big hangers that I figured was going to be the case because I've worked on one of these types of murals before. So, and hopefully we'll see things lock it together in such a way as to not be worried that it'll come apart again. But yeah, Shane, they have something of that nature. So I am now in, let's see, trying to figure out how to get to the right place because I've not done this yet. That's the parts list. That's bag one. And it just tells you exactly what you need to do for bag one. And I need to see if I thought there was a way to look at at what bags there are, but it's not letting me. Dagnabbit. So point is, it'll take you step by step, and you can actually turn the pieces around to see, exactly the orientation that each of the pieces would need to be to build it up. It's a pretty incredible, but it really would be great if I could get it to switch bags for me. It'll sit there, it'll twist the piece around so you can see what it needs to look like for your full build. It's a really cool interactive way. Ah, here we go. Slide, slide, slide. We are right in that area. 34. No, 39. Pretty close though. That's pretty cool. So we'll go back here. And there you can see what I was just showing you, where you have built that spot for um, surround the tower that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are in. So think I've got to that point. Let's try that. 37, we're close. That's 37. I mean, the level of interactivity to show you what you're building and how you start, tear it and take it all apart to understand. I mean, this is incredible. If this tool had existed as a kid, I probably would have started here and just never looked at the book. There's 38. There's the thing you're building, and here's the process of building it. I mean, it's just really cool. And that's where I wouldn't have missed those two pieces because it would have been right in my face that those would go on first. Lay the sticker on. There's put that sticker on. And here we are. This is the bag I'm going into now. So the first thing I need to do is put those 3 plates on in that corner. We'll move this over here. And let's do that. Put that one there. Come on, get in there. There we go. Thinner one in the middle. Pick up the piece that just fell off. I like building on this table, if nothing more, because it's not squishy like the mat was. And so everything lays flat as it should as I'm building it. I have to wonder why they put this here. You guys can't see that. They had me build this in here, and I don't know why, because it doesn't appear to offer any kind of support or anything when I go to put this plate on. So, all right, built. We built this city. So I need 4 of these. So we're going to put up here in the corner. I see where we're at. Okay. We've got another sticker coming up here soon. Yep. We're at the top of the hour. That's when I'm supposed to stop the live stream. Dag nabbit. Sticker 15. Let's put sticker 15 on, and then we'll call it a shoe. A really big shoe. Diamond. I don't know what diamond means. Let's go. Oh, this is Demon's Quest Part 1. Like I said, it makes me want to go watch the show and see what the references are for. Probably add some richness to the hidden areas that I'm creating and then covering up. Okay. Another sticker, well applied. Then I'm supposed to put that right there. I don't know if diamond is a reference to a person or a place or a thing, but it's a blue color, which often means, and it's at the level of the marquee. So I have a suspicion it has to do with the name of the tower or something to do with what's inside. All right. Put a couple of these up here. And one of these right there. And that behind it. Oh, that's neat. They're telling me, Jack, you can zoom in. Look at that. It's right. I can zoom in. And then one of these behind all that. And then finally this piece. Let's see what it says. Then we build out all that stuff. But before we do, I think it's time for me to bid you adieu. I know this is supposed to be a blacksmithing live stream, and we'll go ahead and do that. There we go. Or maybe I'll do that. Or anyway, I know it's supposed to be a blacksmithing live stream, and I know that you guys don't come on here to necessarily see Lego builds, but yeah, um, I do appreciate you jumping in on here and hanging out with me and chatting with me from time to time, and hopefully, as I have nothing slated for this week, I'll be back in ship shape and get back out and heat up some steel and see what I can make. I think what I'm going to make, I think I'm going to sit out this month's blacksmithing challenge, unless it's something simple enough that I can get done in a single stream. And instead, I think I'm going to do some uh, feminine protection devices, aka um, hairpins. Specifically those kind that could also double as darning needles, or not darning needles, knitting needles. The big long ones that you put your hair up. If you got long hair, you put your hair up into a bun, and then you stick this up through the bun and in cross connection to hold them in place. Um, and it's a bit on the pointy end on one end, blunt end on the other. And the blunt end's great for holding on to when you have to shove the pointy end into somebody's um, uh, threatening zone. So, with all of the awfulness that has happened since the uh, latest U.S. elections have happened, and yes, if you chose to vote for someone who fosters that behavior, um, I am judging you. I might still be loving you, but I am judging you, because I think that the interests you spoke to supporting the most might not have been the ones you think they are. Um, so yeah, we'll wait and see. I'll keep my fingers crossed that everything's going to be wonderful, but I'm going to start helping folks prepare for things not being so wonderful, because stuff has been happening that isn't so wonderful, and might as well be ready for more of that rather than less of it. And so, yeah, some stabby protectors I think are in order. I don't need to make, finely crafted, handled, stand at a grinder for, an hour, um, getting everything looking beautiful, hand sanding. No, none of that. I'm just going to create pretty knitting needles. And I think a lot more ladies need to start taking up knitting and keep their knitting needles in their hair. So, with that, I will issue the challenge I issue every week, and that is spread love, but more importantly, stand up for love. And I don't mean in the gross way some men are being. I mean truly the love, what everybody says God is supposed to be that. Stand up for that. And if that means um, you know, standing in the way of somebody else being harmed, that's what it takes. Um, and be a light out there for somebody who's going through the dark. Love and light.